impatient, down to earth, and quirky.
I was going to say bring people with you, but that's more than 3 words, so bring people along.
What was so enticing about NEC Group that made Blackstone want to invest in the company?
We at Blackstone are very thematic investors. And one of the long-term trends that we're excited about and continue to be excited about is the growth of the experience-based economy, so people doing things face-to-face. And within that, we love to buy businesses that are resilient and going to have like a really important long-term future. And the NEC is critical within the industry in which it operates. And so if you put those 2 things together of looking for where there is going to be secular trends, secular growth, around the experience-based economy, and then looking for things that are important in that, the NEC ticks both those boxes.
Melanie, what does it mean to have somebody like Blackstone backing NEC Group, and how does it help you achieve your long-term goals for the company?
I spent my entire career working in listed businesses, and I was deeply skeptical, honestly, about going and working in private equity. I was so wrong. So not only have I released myself from the tyranny of quarterly reporting, I now get to work with super commercial, super rational, super easy to deal with shareholders on a day-to-day basis. So Blackstone are incredibly supportive. Everything from helping me figure out a network to teach me how to run the business that I now run. It was a whole new sector for me.
Alex, what made Melanie the type of leader you wanted to see at the top of NEC Group and leading it into the future?
When we first met Mel, we were blown away by her energy, her intellect, and her compassion. And so you put those things together and she brings just a fresh pair of eyes, a real drive, a determination to succeed, and a way of bringing people along that just make her an amazing leader. And so we're absolutely thrilled to have her at the helm of the NEC.
What specific trends have you seen when you look at the leisure sector and the live event sector? What has changed since COVID, and how has that shaped your investment strategy moving forward in the sector?
Within the broad leisure and entertainment space, I'd say in some ways nothing changed, and in some ways everything changed. So we at Blackstone have been investing behind the experience-based economy, travel, leisure, entertainment for a long time, because we've seen that as a long-term trend as people allocate more of their spending towards the experience-based economy versus goods. So that's been around for a long time. COVID created a real abnormality for a short period of time. So clearly a lot of these businesses were effectively closed for the period of COVID. And then immediately after COVID, we've seen a very aggressive bounce back, particularly in the concerts, arenas parts of the broader experience-based economy. And now we're seeing kind of more of a normalization. So if you take a step back and you look at the long term, which is what we like to do, not very much has changed, and we continue to believe in those same fundamental secular growth trends. But there was a period of dislocation one way and then the other way.
What advice would you give startups or other companies and organizations that are seeking investment from somebody like Blackstone or a private equity partnership?
We're really clear about how we drive stability in our revenue. So as much as possible, we contract much of our revenue out quite far in advance. A lot of our clients will book 2 or 3 years in advance for our space, so we can provide real revenue certainty. We have a really attractive growth plan for what we can do outside of our core business, and we're really clear about that. So that gives potential investors upside above the core trading business, and then being really transparent about where it is you're good and where you're not good. So I think too many businesses try and do too many things that they probably shouldn't. Focus on the stuff that actually makes you the money and be really clear about what that is, and stop doing everything else.
What advice do you have for people out there wanting to get on the radar of a Blackstone? What are you specifically looking for?
I mean, I'd echo a lot of what Melanie said, which is, first of all, we love businesses which are important in what they do, and that requires a high degree of focus. There are a lot of sort of overnight successes that people get sort of distracted by, but I think generally, if people just focus on building a great quality business that generates economic value, that is good at what it does, that is focused on what it does, that is important to its customers, whoever they may be, that is a winning strategy. One of the filters I often apply is, if this business was to disappear tomorrow, would anybody really care? And so think about that and think about being important to your customers, and that will probably bring you success.
So you've been in the industry for almost 2 decades. How has it changed from when you first entered the industry?
when I first entered the industry, private equity was very focused on and really known for cost optimization, cash optimization. I think that has really changed, and so the industry as a whole, and at Blackstone in particular, we're really focused on how we grow our businesses. And we know that we generate the best returns for our investors by growing the businesses, making them larger, more successful. And so really there's been a shift towards growth. I'd say, secondly, in order to achieve that, the market has become much more competitive. So there's a large number of investment funds all competing for the best businesses and investment opportunities. And so we've all had to kind of differentiate ourselves. And at Blackstone, we really focus on how do we help our businesses benefit from the scale of being part of the Blackstone family. And so we've done that by creating portfolio operations teams that help our businesses on data science, the transition of AI, some of the big questions that they're having to deal with that is hard to deal with on your own. But when you apply multiple minds across the whole portfolio and across the whole firm, you really get to benefit from that. And I'd say the other thing that's changed in the time I've been in the industry is the way society looks at private equity. I think now it is regarded as more mainstream, a critical part of the economy, and that was particularly shown during COVID, where we, for example, put a huge amount of investment into the NEC while it was closed to help the business survive the pandemic. And so I think people have started to adjust to the fact that having this investment available, having this capital available to businesses in an economy is a really positive thing.
How do you identify turnaround businesses or businesses that might be in a little bit of distress, but you can see that long-term value?
We don't really do strict turnarounds, so we're investing in long-term tailwinds, what we call at Blackstone good neighborhoods. So we like to look for good neighborhoods. We always say good things happen in good neighborhoods. And so that points us into the digital economy, to the experience-based economy that we've talked about. And then we look for high-quality businesses within that are going to thrive over the long term.
Where do you see NEC Group 10 years from now?
I have 3 core businesses that are trading really, really well, but the exciting opportunity for me is I have 300 acres of prime real estate in the middle of the UK, walking distance from an airport that serves 125 locations. It'll be 40 minutes from London at that point on HS2. We have huge opportunity to grow entertainment and leisure on that campus. So much to get after, particularly in an economy where consumers really are spending their money on going out and having more fun. So 10 years from now, I think we'll have this extraordinary destination in the heart of the Midlands, where you name it, everything from climbing walls to the best immersive content to all of the best concerts in the UK. But I think the answer to the bigger question, if you step back, is it's figuring out how you get really high quality content, because people will pay money to come and see really good quality content.
People like quality experiences. And so whether that's the NEC, whether it's our caravan park businesses, whether it's our theatre investments, whether it's Merlin, if you invest in the proposition and you make the proposition great, people will come.
As an industry leader in the live events space, how have you seen consumer preferences evolve over time?
So the biggest trend for us is actually premiumization. So people are really willing to spend just that bit more money to make sure they have a nicer experience, whether it's not having to queue, particularly not having to queue to get a drink or go to the bathroom, to have a slightly nicer seat, to have a nice drink and a nibble before they go to a show. And there really is unlimited headroom, I think, in the premiumization of consumer events.
When you look at the organization overall, how important is diversity when you look at your own leadership style and how diverse the team is as you build it out?
So I actually inherited an organization that wasn't particularly diverse. So in a year we've shifted enormously the gender profile, the LGBT profile. Actually, it was the first time as an organization we've been in existence for I think 40 years and we'd never been in Pride, which was shocking to me, particularly for someone in the live event space. So it really matters to me to have a very diverse organization where people feel like they can bring their best selves to work, because then they give you the best answers, the best content, the best ideas. No one's ashamed to say whatever they want to say, and performance is better. That's the whole point for me, is how do I create a more inclusive organization where the diversity brings stronger performance.
So how has a more diverse team led to the culture or change the culture at the organization?
So people are just more confident from the front line all the way up to bring their ideas now. So if you didn't look like the management team before, they wouldn't necessarily have the confidence to come and tell us what they thought. Now, no one's holding back. So we get the best ideas actually out of our front line because they feel really confident that we look more like the front line than we did before. So they feel like they can come and tell us their ideas.
How important is diversity and the business culture when you assess a business to invest in or work out its market value when you go to sell a business?
We benefit in the investing business from diversity being incredibly beneficial to what we do. So the most dangerous thing in investing is what you might call groupthink, where everybody looks at the same thing and views it in a similar way. And so we really look to promote diversity within our own business so that people have different backgrounds, different experiences that they bring to the same problem and see things differently. And we apply the same thing to the teams in our portfolio businesses. So you don't want a team at the top of the company that has all got the same background, all thinks the same for the same reason, is they're going to be facing challenges and they need to bring a different chain of thought. So as we look at assessing our leadership teams, we want to make sure that people's background, people's life experiences are really varied, and that's how we think our businesses perform best.